Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Dick Fleming. I was a member of First Force Recon 1967-1968, and my channel talks about my stories, my experiences in Vietnam as a member of a long-range reconnaissance team. I wrote some of these stories down in a book called Chasing Charlie, which is available on Amazon if you're interested in reading about my experiences. But today I'd like to tell you a story that my grandson asked me about. He's 11 years old, and he asked me, "Pop-up, what's the most dangerous? What's the most dangerous thing that you did in Vietnam? Can you tell me a story about that?" And I thought for a second, and then I realized that I did have a good story, and I told him that in this case I probably saved the lives of half a dozen men. And he goes, "You did?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Well, tell me about it." He's really interested. And so here's the story that I told my grandson. We were at An Hoa, which was a fire base or airstrip a little bit northwest of Da Nang, quite a bit northwest of Da Nang. We were running patrols out of there, long-range reconnaissance patrols, all along the Ho Chi Minh trails and the border between Laos, Cambodia, way pretty far out. And An Hoa was pretty much of a hellhole. The airstrip was built in a plain, a flat plain, and it was surrounded by mountains. And if anybody knows the history of Vietnam, you probably know the history of Dien Bien Phu. And Dien Bien Phu was a fire base that was an airstrip that was surrounded by mountains. And the French had thought that they could use that as a focal point for their war against the Vietnamese. Well, what happened was that the General Giap set up artillery on the hills overlooking the French fort, Dien Bien Phu, and constantly bombarded that fort with artillery shells, mortars, and probably rockets if they had them at the time, from the hills surrounding that area. And eventually, despite the best effort of the French, the Viet Minh, I guess you called them at the time, came in and attacked and surrounded the base and attacked, and that was the end of the French in Indochina. They lost thousands of men, even though paratroopers were sent in to support the French, and they lost thousands of men. Well, in our case, we didn't lose thousands of men, and we didn't surrender the air base. But every night, practically, when we were there, and I'll tell you more about An Hoa later, but during the time period I'm talking about, we were bombarded with rockets, and came in many times during the night, and you could see the flashes on the hillside as they were fired off, and we all ran into our bunkers. And when the round stopped, we went back into our cots. We went back to sleep. Well, when the night wore on, one of my jobs, being back in the rear area when I was on a work detail, was to after we had come in from our standing watch or whatever we were doing, we had to light get the water hot for the officers and the enlisted men to take showers. And this was how this was done. The showers were set up separately in away from the main area, main tents. and the water was put into these tanks that had been used for fuel by the Air Force. So they had a lot of these auxiliary tanks that had been attached to their aircraft, and now were not being used for anything. So the Seabees cut a hole in the top of these tanks and mounted them on the wooden platform that became the shower. And there was a ladder going up to the top of the shower, and the shower heads were fed down here once the water was hot. And the water got hot by this kerosene, this can of kerosene, probably 5 gallons of kerosene, that had a little spigot on the top and was mounted on top of the water tank. And when the spigot was turned, a small drip of kerosene would drop down into this cylinder of metal that was inserted inside the tank. And then when the water got hot inside, you'd have the shower, and that worked pretty well. The tank obviously was enclosed at the bottom, open on the top. This gas came out the top. So our job every morning, as part of the work detail, was to climb up here, turn on the spigot to start the kerosene dripping down, and then throw down a match, and it would the kerosene that was in the bottom of this tube would burn. The cylinder itself would get nice and hot and would heat the water around it. So that was our way of getting hot water into the shower stall. Well, when it got toward dawn, we stopped. We were probably on guard duty in the trenches or in the bunkers surrounding our facility at Anwa, and I got ready to do my job to ignite the heaters that would give us hot water. And so I clambered up the ladder. It was just getting to dawn was just starting to come up. We didn't want to start this at night, because if the NVA saw the light from the fire or saw activity down there at night, something being lit like a match or something like that, maybe not a match, but something significant, they could aim their rockets at our location. So we waited until at least dawn to do that, when it wouldn't be as obvious. So I went up there and climbed up to the top of the shower and turned on the spigot the way I usually did, and I threw the match down to have it ignite. And I must have done this 10, 15, 20 times before, no problem at all. And in this case, with a giant whoosh, the kerosene ignited, and a flame shot out 10 feet into the air above the chimney of the heater. Either the previous guy had not turned off the spigot tightly enough when he left, or maybe the spigot was broken or something. I really don't know. But there was probably 5 gallons or maybe more of kerosene sitting in that tube. And as soon as I threw that match down, it ignited and spewed up flame 10, 15 feet in the air. It sounded like a jet taking off. We're going to whoosh, whoosh, as the air came into it, and it went out the top. Well, as soon as that happened, I had backed off and started down the ladder. Well, I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at it, the flames are spreading all around. They're spreading even onto the plywood of the building that we use as a shower. And I thought to myself, Dick, this is not good at all. Any minute now, we're going to start getting rocketed from this thing. So I climbed up the ladder again. And really, it was the bravest thing that I ever did in Vietnam. Because I was afraid that the damn thing was going to explode in my face. I was sure with the flames all around it that it was going to go up and explode, even though kerosene is pretty stable. It's not like gasoline. But in this case, with the flames all around it, I thought for sure that canister was going to blow up in my face. Well, I couldn't get near it because of the flames with my hands, but I kicked it, and the thing flew off the shower and fell to the ground. I said, "Thank God, you know, that's over with." And then I heard clink, 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 and I looked down, and the damn thing now was still ignited, and the spigot was now throwing out fuel and flames as it was rolling down the hill right toward a group of tents where our Marines were sleeping. It looked like one of those Roman fire wheels going toward it. Well, I didn't know exactly what to do at the moment. But I spotted, for some reason, there was one of those giant salad bowls up on top, made out of stainless steel, maybe 3 feet in diameter, that was used in the cook shed. Now, what it was doing up on top there of the shower stall, I don't know. But I took the thing, and God was with me, and it sailed out, fell about 10 feet off of the shower head like a frisbee, and went plop and fell right down on top of the canister filled with kerosene, and stopped it from spinning and started the fire started to go out. Well, luck was with me that day. So I clambered, got everything together, made sure the spigot was off nice and tight, took everything back and put it back into place up on top, and I could see there was a lot of fire damage to the shower, but you know, I put the thing back on top, and then I got down. Well, before I could even report what had happened, the captain came out. I hadn't had a good relationship with him in the beginning anyway. So he came out, he had a towel wrapped around him, and he went into the shower, and he turned on the spigot, and he goes, "God damn it, the water's cold." The water's cold. So I don't know. I didn't say anything. There were a couple people as I went back. They said, "Hey, look, you know, those sheds must have gotten hit by rocket fire overnight." I said, "Yep, I guess so." I looked at the charred plywood on the outside. So after I told this story to my grandson, he goes, "Wow, Dick, that's quite a story." You can call me Pop-Up, you know, old Pop-Up. That's quite a story. He goes, "Did you get a medal for that?" I said, No, I didn't get any medal. In fact, I'm lucky I didn't end up in the brig." That's what happened. My bravest moment in Vietnam was going up on top of that shower and kicking that canister off before it blew up in my face.